Once the Golden Promise at the edge of a continent, where Spanish missionaries planted the seeds of civilization and 49ers chased dreams through 1859 mountain streams, California has quietly evolved into more than just a state. It has become a living anthology of America's most extraordinary landscapes. From ancient forests that witnessed the rise and fall of civilizations, to coastlines where the Pacific Ocean writes poetry in foam and stone, this is a land where geological time and human ambition have collaborated to create something unprecedented in the natural world. Here, the Sierra Nevada rises like a granite cathedral, while the Mojave Desert spreads in golden silence, where Hollywood dreams were born in orange groves, and Spanish missions still toll bells that echo across valleys transformed by time. California is not merely a destination, it is a pilgrimage through landscapes so diverse that they seem borrowed from different planets, united only by a golden light that photographers spend lifetimes trying to capture. Today, I invite you to journey with me through 10 places that define California's soul, where indigenous Yurok wisdom still flows through ancient redwood groves, where John Muir first understood the sacred nature of wilderness, and where every sunset over the Pacific reminds us why this corner of the world has captured imaginations for over 2 centuries. Along Highway 1, where the Santa Lucia Mountains plunge directly into the Pacific Ocean, Big Sur unfolds like a meditation on the sublime. This 90-mile stretch of coastline, where indigenous Esselen peoples once gathered abalone and acorns, has inspired everyone from Henry Miller to Jack Kerouac to find language for the ineffable. Here, Monterey pines cling to cliff tops sculpted by millennia of wind and wave, while fog rolls inland each evening like a living thing, transforming familiar landscapes into dreamscapes. The McWay Falls tumbles 80 feet onto a crescent beach that seems designed by angels, and at Nepenthe Restaurant, visitors dine on terraces suspended between earth and sky, watching the sun dissolve into an ocean that stretches unbroken to Asia. In the western slopes of the Sierra Nevada, where granite peaks scrape the sky and meadows bloom with lupine and Indian paintbrush, Sequoia National Park protects some of Earth's most magnificent living beings. General Sherman, the largest tree by volume on the planet, rises 275 feet from forest floors, carpeted in ferns and fallen giants, its trunk so massive that it would take 20 people holding hands to encircle its base. These ancient sequoias, some over 3,000 years old, were already ancient when Rome was founded, already towering when Christ walked the earth. The indigenous Yokuts peoples called them Wawona, a word that mimics the call of the great horned owl, and considered them sacred bridges between earth and sky. Nestled in a pine forest overlooking Carmel Bay, this storybook village of 4,000 residents exists as if conjured by artists and poets who decided to build their dreams from stone and cypress wood. Founded by writers and artists in 1906, Carmel-by-the-Sea remains a place where addresses consist only of charming names like Cottage of Swallows and House of Many Windows, where Clint Eastwood once served as mayor, and where every cottage seems designed by someone who believed architecture should be indistinguishable from sculpture. The Carmel Mission, founded by Father Junipero Serra in 1771, stands as both architectural gem and reminder of California's complex colonial heritage, its sandstone walls weathered into honey gold by centuries of Pacific storms. On the shores of Monterey Bay, where sea otters play in kelp forests And Steinbeck's Cannery Row once thundered with the industry of sardine processing, California's recorded history truly begins. This was the capital of Mexican California, where Spanish governors ruled vast ranchos and adobe homes still stand as testaments to a more leisurely age. The Monterey Bay Aquarium, built within the bones of Cannery Row, now protects and displays marine life from the nearby Monterey Canyon, an underwater gorge deeper than the Grand Canyon that brings cold, nutrient-rich water to the surface, creating one of the world's most diverse marine ecosystems. In California's southwestern corner, where the Pacific Ocean meets desert landscapes painted in sage and chaparral, San Diego basks in what locals call perfect weather, with the confidence of those who have never experienced a harsh winter. This is where European civilization first touched California's shores in 1542, where Father Serra established the first of California's missions in 1769, and where the U.S. Navy discovered one of the world's finest natural harbors. Balboa Park, larger than New York's Central Park, houses museums and gardens within architecture inspired by Spanish colonial design, while just offshore, the Coronado Islands rise from Pacific waters, where gray whales migrate between Alaska and Mexico in one of nature's great annual journeys. 26 miles across the sea from Long Beach, Santa Catalina Island floats like a Mediterranean dream, transplanted to Southern California waters. This island, where bison roam hills covered in sage and prickly pear, descendants of animals brought for a 1924 movie and never removed, preserves ecosystems found nowhere else on Earth. Avalon, the island's only incorporated city, clusters around a crescent bay where flying fish leap through moonbeams and where the Casino Ballroom, an Art Deco masterpiece, has hosted dancers since 1929. The island's interior, largely protected as wilderness, hides archaeological sites where Tongva peoples lived for over 7,000 years, leaving behind soapstone carvings and shell middens that speak of sophisticated maritime cultures. In the eastern Sierra Nevada, where ancient volcanic forces sculpted a landscape of granite peaks and alpine lakes, Mammoth Lakes sits at 7,880 feet elevation in a natural amphitheater surrounded by 13,000-foot peaks. This is a place where winter brings some of North America's most reliable snowfall, transforming the landscape into a wonderland for skiers and snowboarders, while summer reveals hiking trails that lead through meadows carpeted with wildflowers so abundant that John Muir described them as gardens more beautiful than art can show. The nearby Mammoth Hot Springs, where geothermal activity creates natural spas heated by the Earth's core, remind visitors that this landscape was forged by forces that still simmer beneath their feet. In the heart of the Sierra Nevada, where glaciers carved granite cliffs into sculptures that humble human imagination, Yosemite Valley opens like a natural cathedral designed by forces beyond comprehension. Here, El Capitan rises 3,000 feet of sheer granite that draws rock climbers from around the world to test themselves against stone, while Yosemite Falls plunges 2,425 feet in a display of power and grace that inspired John Muir to dedicate his life to wilderness preservation. Half Dome, that iconic granite monolith, stands sentinel over a valley where black bears amble through meadows and giant sequoias grow in groves that the indigenous Awanichi peoples considered sacred spaces where spirits dwelt among the giants. Straddling the California-Nevada border at 6,224 feet elevation, Lake Tahoe spreads like a sapphire set in granite. Its waters so clear that early explorers reported being able to see stones on the lake bottom at depths of 75 feet. This alpine lake, formed by geological faulting and blocked by volcanic debris, holds enough water to cover the entire state of California to a depth of 14 inches. Mark Twain called it the fairest picture the whole earth affords, and indigenous Washoe peoples considered it the center of their world, a sacred place where the spirits of their ancestors dwelt in waters that never freeze despite winter temperatures that can drop below zero. Along California's far northern coast, where the Pacific Ocean meets ancient forests shrouded in perpetual mist, the tallest trees on Earth reach toward a sky they have been stretching toward for over 2,000 years. These coast redwoods, some exceeding 380 feet in height, create cathedral spaces beneath their canopies, where ferns carpet forest floors and silence takes on an almost physical presence. The indigenous Yurok peoples lived among these giants for thousands of years, creating sophisticated cultures based on salmon runs and acorn harvests, building redwood plank houses and dugout canoes that could navigate both rivers and ocean swells. Today, walking among these ancient beings feels like pilgrimage through a living temple, where time moves differently and human concerns shrink to their proper scale. California calls to the part of us that believes in possibility, that frontier spirit that sees mountains and deserts, forests and coastlines not as obstacles, but as invitations to discover what lies beyond the next ridge, around the next curve of coastline. These 10 destinations offer more than scenic beauty. They provide passages into a land where indigenous wisdom still flows through sacred spaces, where Spanish missions and gold rush towns tell stories of cultural collision and transformation, and where John Muir's vision of wilderness as sanctuary continues to inspire protection of landscapes too precious to lose. In California, we don't simply visit places. We enter into dialogue with a land that has shaped American dreams for generations, where every Pacific sunset reminds us that some horizons are worth chasing, and where the golden light that gave this state its name continues to illuminate possibilities as endless as the ocean itself. From the ancient redwoods that have witnessed centuries pass like seasons to the alpine lakes that mirror Sierra peaks, California remains what it has always been, a place where the impossible becomes inevitable, where nature and human aspiration collaborate to create something approaching paradise on Earth.